So what is SharePoint? Basically, it's a collaborative platform. Okay, it's basically and also a document management platform. So document management is a secondary platform, but the main thing is it's a web-based collaborative platform where people can collaborate information between each other. Okay, and it is highly flexible. And the way that we share information, it could be in the form of metadata or documents or workflows or anything of that sort. So it is very rich in those sense. And with SharePoint, the user can create an intranet and an internet-based applications. So we all know what is an internet-based applications, right? What can somebody know? Does somebody know what is meant by intranet?
So it's a computer network for sharing information and services within the organization. So,
Yeah,
exclusion.
that is correct. So intranet basically deals with within an organization. It's not exposed to the entire public. Whereas when we say internet application, it means it's a publicly accessible application. Like for example, Facebook is one such example of internet accessible application, and Yammer, if you know, that is an example for internet-based applications. Okay, so with these kind of applications, user can share information between their departments, between their teams, and so on. So this is what is SharePoint. So moving on, just to give a brief idea of how the SharePoint has evolved. Okay, so this very comprehensive slide, but I'll just mention some of the things which are important. So it started with 2003 as a content management server. Just with that version, it just was a document management system. Later on, it progressed to SharePoint Portal 2003, where it got exposed to some element of social media and that. I mean to say the collaborative platform. After that, the 2007 version was made available. After a year, we can see a SharePoint Online, which was made available, and then followed by 2010, 2013. The current version that we have is 2016, and then the 2019. Okay, so this is the brief history, and I have given a link. So if you want to know more about these versions, you'll be most welcome to go through that. All right, so I'm just moving on from here. So we know that what SharePoint is, but what does SharePoint offers, right? So it offers so many things. So the main what do you say, the main piece of how you share the information is through a website. So it exposes a website, and organization can use that to share information. All right, so all you need is a web browser to access that. So there are two more versions of SharePoint, which is like one is on-premises and one is online. So we'll go to that in the next slide. But some of the feature of SharePoint offers are listed here. So with SharePoint, you can actually share files and information to even outside your organization, not even inside. Okay, so you can share it to the external people also. So these people would be a client for whom you are creating an application. So if you have to share it to different client, different people outside organization, you can do that in SharePoint. Second one is the content management feature, which helps manage the content through list, libraries, metadata, record management, and policies. So we have different sites, different type of sites that you can create in SharePoint. One broadly, there is two sites, which is a team site and a communication site. So if you talk about team site, basically it is a site template. It's a type of template where you can use that site to collaborate between a set of people. Okay, so for example, if you are making a project and you are a 5 team member and you are working on a project, and so a team site would be an ideal site. Coming to the next one is the communication site. Communication site is basically it's used for communicating the sharing more towards the collaboration of the piece of the SharePoint, where you communicate message across organization with dynamic sites. What is also available are the mobile apps. So basically you can see sites, SharePoint sites, not only on your laptop and iPad, you can also see it on your phones. And then we have, it also provides us automating business processes by creating alerts and workflows. And also it gives a search function where people can search for information that they're looking for. Any questions on this slide?
No, sir.
All right. Okay, we'll move on. Who uses SharePoint? Basically, SharePoint is a very popular collaboration tool which is used by more than 250,000 organizations across, and it has been used by 500 Fortune companies. And SharePoint Online is the most popular, which is part of Office 365 right now. Okay, so SharePoint is a very popular collaboration tool in the market. We have seen here that it's a part of Office 365. So does anybody know what is Office 365 is?
Subscription which we need to buy to access Microsoft tools like Word, PowerPoint, etc. SharePoint.
Yeah,
It,
okay.
it's a
Anybody?
Microsoft Office, which where we can perform some tasks with that tools like
Okay.
Excel, PowerPoint, Word, OneNote, OneDrive, and Outlook. All the tools are available in this Microsoft Office 365.
Okay. Great. Thank you. So Office 365 is also known as, now currently the name given is M365, which is Microsoft Office 365. Okay. So I mean, you guys have said correct. So I'm just elaborating it further. So what is it's basically a suite of cloud-based productivity. When you say a suite, basically it's a combination of services or applications that is provided to you, which increases the productivity and collaborations between the organization, right? So some of the things which you can see here is the Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, Sway, Access. So this is a complete list here. Okay, we have Stream, we have Sway, we have Forms, Microsoft Forms, we have Power Apps, we have Flow. So these are basically the applications. So one assignment that you guys have to do is basically you have to get to know for each of these applications what does it do. All right, don't have to go in depth, but basically you should get an idea of each of the applications that it provides the functionality. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so yeah, you can prepare a PPT or you can write an email to me with the bullet points. So I'm expecting this by end of the day today. So okay, so this is one of the first assignment. All right. So this is as rightly said, it's a subscription-based service. Now, what do you mean by subscription-based service? Anyone?
We need to buy that service in order to access all those tools that you mentioned earlier. There'll be a amount for that, so we'll have to subscribe for that in order to get an access for that tools which we are using.
Yeah, I think someone else was speaking. If you want to add on to it.
Like we have to buy that tool for special features. Like we can't do some some operation with other tools, so we have to buy that tool. So it will give some extra features.
Right. Right. Good. Yeah, that is correct. So subscription based, basically it gives a different plan. Okay. Excuse me. So Microsoft gives different plan based on that subscription. If you buy that, you will get those many features. And hello, I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, you are.
Okay, I thought there was a network issue. Okay. Yeah, pay as you go. So basically what happens is if you're not using any application, Microsoft will not charge you for that. And there is some limit that has been defined. If you cross that limit, then only you will be charged. Otherwise, if you are within that limit, you will not be charged. So that's another subscription-based service. Okay. Okay. Moving on. This is basically the plan that we are talking about. So you can see the price. So it is like the app for enterprise. So basically it gives you an Office apps plus file storage sharing, but business email is not included. And this is the amount that you pay. GST is extra. And if you want to buy it, you can buy it from here. Then we have E1 plan. And then this is the price. So what happens is in each subscription, you will get some features, you will not get some features. So based on that, the amount is decided. I have given a link here. So feel free to go through and see what all the services which are applications which are not there in each subscription. Just before that, I have given a link so that you guys can create an account, free account for this Office 365 E5 license subscription. So have everyone created it, or you're still creating it, or how is it? What's the status?
So we didn't get to know how to create the, means we need to buy the E5 subscription, sir.
So you can see here that try for free.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So if you click on try for free, you will be asked for your nominal details like your name, address, phone number, whatever.
Yeah.
Your you'll have to give a Hotmail account or live account for that. If you're not, you have to create it. So once you create this E5, I think you for 1 month or 2 months you'll be 1 month. I think you'll be granted all the permissions to use all the apps.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay, so I think
Yes.
you have the link. So please do that today, everyone, and send me a confirmation today, and let me know if you're facing any issues. So we'll look to resolve it. But it's very important that you all have the this subscription so that for you to practice and do the assignments. So it's super important that you finish it today, right? Okay. Moving on. Now there are different versions of, broadly speaking, there are SharePoint was living on premises earlier, and then as you can see in the history chart, SharePoint Online was made available, right? So Microsoft SharePoint Online is one of the applications which comes with your Office 365 subscription. Before SharePoint Online, or currently also, there's another version of SharePoint exists which is on premises. All right. So what does anybody know what does on premise means? I'll tell you. So basically, on premises is basically the setup which is maintained by an organization in their own servers. All right. So basically, for example, let's say the Capgemini has a SharePoint setup which is on premises. Basically, in their physical office environment, there will be physical servers, and physical on those physical servers, SharePoint will be installed, and it will be provided within the organization. So this is an on premises. On premises is mostly on intranet, not internet. Okay, within the organization, and the servers are managed by a separate team of Capgemini. So everything is managed by that team. That's an on premises. And SharePoint Online, basically, since it's a part of Office 365 subscription, it is managed by Microsoft for you. So you just have to buy a subscription, and then all the applications will be managed and provided by Microsoft. Is that clear, everyone? Any questions on that? So you can see for on-premises, SharePoint server is locally hosted platform. The user organization owns and operates within themselves. And SharePoint server user are responsible for running and maintaining everything internally, including server architecture, Active Directory, and file storage. Active Directory is nothing but what is Active Directory? Anybody? Anyone can tell me what is Active Directory? Or if you don't know, just say no. I can.
No, sir. Don't know, sir.
No.
All right, no problem. So Active Directory basically is an application which is in which the users are managed. So basically, if any user has to be granted access, so it has to be added in Active Directory first. All right. So Active Directory has many other data metadata for that user. For example, his first name, last name, what is his department, what is his office location, and so on. Okay. So on-premises, we say it is basically managed by the company itself, and when we say online, that means it is managed by Microsoft. If it is a Microsoft-based applications, so that's the overall difference. Second assignment, basically, we have something called PaaS, which is Platform as Service, Information as Service, and Service as a Service. So all these services are revolving around when we say that Microsoft gives the manages all the things. So these are some differences which are there in each one of them. So just read about what does that do and give me some example of each. All right. So when you read about them, you will come to know it basically refers to the who manages what, how much things Microsoft manages, and that differs with each of these versions, right? So read about this, and we'll come back tomorrow and with some. So I would expect some examples from you, and if you didn't get it, then we'll talk about it tomorrow. The idea is that you should know about these things when you talk about online stuff. Moving on, so we'll see what is the logical architecture of SharePoint. So if you can see here on the right side, if you see the bottom image, so we have something called web applications in SharePoint, and each web application we have different site collections. So when we talk about to start with, we have to in SharePoint we have to create a web application. We are talking about on-premises here. So web application could be any application that you have you are working on, right? So it could be, for example, let's say you are making an application for intranet, so you will say contoso.com or something of that sort application name. So for that, you will start by creating a web application. Web application is nothing but logical grouping of different site collections you see here. Okay, and then in each web application we create different site collections. So for example, in contoso.com, if you want to create an application for finance, you will create a site collections for finance. If you want to create an application for let's say HR, you will create a site collection for HR. Right, so site collections give us a logical segregation between your each web application because they are totally different, right? So requirements may be different. So for each web application, you create a site collection. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. Now, if you see here, the site collection. So now each site collection can have multiple sites, subsites. Okay, so these subsites again gives a logical segregation between each other. And this subsites basically inherits the properties from the site collection. So for example, the theme is nothing but how your site looks. So what color combination that you want to see in the sites. So all that theming will be inherited to the subsites. That is one of the examples here. So these things, these are the base concepts. So you should be very clear on these. What is a web application? What is site collection? And what is a subsite? Subsite is nothing but sites which is under a site collection. Okay. Another thing is basically you can navigation you can define at the site collection level, and then those navigation will be inherited in different subsites that you create under it. And also it inherits the site columns, content types, and the permissions. Okay, we'll see that in action. So, but the conceptually wise, you should be clear on this. Okay. Another thing is here when you go top level downwards, this is the topology. So first comes the farm. Farm is nothing but a collection of web applications. Okay. Web application is nothing but a collection of site collections. Site collections can have multiple subsites, or we also call webs. On a site, we can have multiple subsites, and each subsite can have multiple list libraries, and each list library can have multiple list items or a file. Okay. Okay, we'll move on. So this is one such example of an web application. So we have different site collections based on the application that we want to create. So for example, HR is one site collection, sales is another, home, IT, and finance. Under HR site collection, we have a site called for employees for one employees, and then for another for managers. And managers can have a site which can have its own components, applications. For example, it can have a calendar, it can have a document library, it can have a task list, and document library can have a folder and files and so on. Do you guys know what is document library?
Which is a
Yes,
collection.
sir. It contains
Yeah.
many documents.
Right. So document library is basically it allows you to upload your documents along with some metadata, right? So like for example, it could, for example, the sales document if you are uploading. So sales document could have the metadata, for example, the sales date, the company name, the sales amount, etc. Right. So that is the metadata of that library. And then we have a task list. So you guys know what is a list?
Yes, sir.
In documents, we store the documents. What do we store in lists? Yeah, go on, please. So the task basically is a collection of list items. In that, the difference between document library and task is the document library is the main focus of the content is a document. So first you have to upload the document and then fill the metadata. Whereas in the tasks, the documents are not so relevant. The main focus is basically for the metadata, and the documents are optional. Okay, so that is one logical difference between them. Okay, so when we talk about web application, this is the term that we have that we use usually in on-premises. But when we come to Office 365 based subscription, we replace that name with the tenant. So when we buy a subscription here, let's say when we are going to buy a subscription of E5, that means we are and a tenant will be assigned to you. Okay, a tenant basically nothing but a space given to you where you can create your logical structure, this kind of logical structure in your tenant. Okay, so so here basically it can be, I mean, one example here, it could be an apartment where it has these kind of things, and similarly if you map it to your tenant, so it will, when you create a tenant, data centers basically nothing but a storage will be given to you, where you will be given an address. For example, you have to decide what is your website name going to be. In this case, it is guy in a cube, and this once that is given, there are different elements that comes automatically with that with the plan, which basically is to manage subscription, users, domains, and groups. Okay, so that basically is a tenant file. Is it clear, tenant? Any questions here?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, go here and say try for free. Okay. So you'll be creating a new account, and then it will ask you all for the details. So using this, I have created a tenant. So my tenant name is Office 365 dev subscription dot sharepoint.com. So whatever domain you give here, so it will check whether that domain is unique or not. If it is unique, then only it will allow you to create it. Otherwise, it will not allow you to create it. So basically, it's similar to what is the SharePoint address on the internet. So no two site can have a same address, right? So same concept goes here. So this is basically a SharePoint online site that you see here. Okay, it has all the different elements here that you see. So if you see the structure, it has a SharePoint, and this is a quick links, quick launch menu. So here you can go to all the applications that is given by your subscription. You can see all the applications that we have seen earlier, like so from here you can do that. Also here you can you see the icon of the site. This is the title, where what type of site it is. It's a public group or a private group, and it will show you how many members are there. And from here, this ribbon, it will allow you to create different components that we have seen, like what the list you can create from here, document library you can create, page you can create from here. And what also see here is these kind of boxes here. Let's say this most recent, and these kind of a news sections here. So does anyone knows what are these called?
Web
Exactly.
parts.
That's very good. So yeah, these are the web parts. Okay, so web parts are nothing but a block which gives you a particular functionality, right? So that those are the web parts. And you see the login name here and all those things. So first thing is from here, if you have to create a new site, you have to go to this quick links here, and then go to the admin site, admin option here. So this is basically my admin center of my tenant, which will display me all these options. So from here you can see the users and what are the teams and groups that have been created. If you go to show all, so our objective is to create a site. So these are the admin centers you see of all these things. So basically first thing is, so to create a site we have to go to SharePoint. I think there's some change here, active sites. So these are the sites which are there in my tenant. So I can go ahead and create the active sites. So I go and create it. So as you can see, these are the two options that we have discussed. So one is the team site and one is the communication site. Right. So what I will do is I will create a communication site. I'll just give a site name. Okay, and then so this is the site name. This site name can have spaces with that. So basically just a site name. But here in the site address, you have to write, give without space. And you have to tell who is the site owner. Site owner is nothing but an admin of the site. So I can give it to myself. And then the next option comes is basically you have to select the language. So with this you can create a multi-language site, and you can select the language of your choice if you want to create a different site than English. So in this case I'll go ahead and create English. The advanced setting, you can set the time zone of your web application based on the language and any description. So you can say that demo site created. Okay, and then you click on finish. Okay, says the site is created. I'll just refresh the screen. Yeah, here's my site. So I can just click here and go to the site. Okay, so this is my communication site, and these are the basic web parts that that it comes with a template. So here this is okay. So this is the site. So any questions? Is everybody clear how to create a site? Similarly, you can create a team site also.
No, sir.
Okay, you are clear, right? Or okay, fine. Then so this is my site, and then if I have to create, and also I can, if I want to create and change the title and the I can just go to site collection, sorry, site information, and I can change this site logo. I can move it if I don't want, and then I can change the site name here. Okay, and then we can also associate it with the hub site. So I think the link was given for a hub site. Any idea what hub site is?
We saw that this the hub in the video, sir, but I didn't understood, sir. What means hub and the permissions?
Okay. Yeah, okay, we'll discuss on that, but anybody else want to try?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, then we will cover this. I mean, what is hub site? What are home sites? We'll cover all that thing in later section. For example, for now, let's select no here. Okay, we'll go through all the concepts later. Okay, so let's save this. Okay, so this is basically creating a site, and let's see. Let's go to the next one, which is let's see the list and libraries first. So you guys are clear what our list libraries are. So for that you have to create, you can go to site content or you can add an app. Okay, let's try this, add an app. So once you select and add an app, so it will give you all the options that is available for you to add. So what are these options? Basically it will be a combination of what are the things available out of the box, or what are the things available customized, whatever you have created, right? So this is from you can select this from SharePoint store. Basically any free application that if you want to use, or even if you want to pay something which is there available outside your to the global SharePoint store, you can add it from here. So so let's create a library. Create a document library. Okay, easier for that, let me go to site contents. So from here you can select document library. So I'm just giving sales here and then some description. Okay, and if you don't want to show it on your navigation, then you can uncheck it. If you want to show it, then select it, create it. So sales document library got created. So if I go to my site contents, so site content basically lists down all the content that I have, collection of libraries and lists, and you can see the sales library created here. So if I go to sales, and here I can, since it's a library, I can upload any documents here, right? So, or I can create a folder. So I can create folder just to segregate my content. So for example, if I want to segregate my sales document for and based on year, I can do that. Sales docs. Or you can create another one. Sales. Okay, so these are the folders, and I can go ahead inside this folder and then upload my document. Okay. I can create it from here, or I can upload my existing one also. So if I want to upload it from my library, I can do that. Use any of this option. Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. So when you create a list or library without any customization, so let's go to list library settings and see what are the things which are there in the settings. So if I go here in the size, library settings, then I can see some of the options that are provided here. So let's try to go there. So let's try to cover most of them. Let's see what is the list name description. So basically it allows me to change the list name and the description here. Now if I want to not show it from quick links, I can again change it here. Okay, and then what we have is another thing is we have versioning settings. So if you want a version of your file to get created with every change, you can select set as yes. So what does it do? What does it do is basically if anybody changes a version, basically it makes any changes in documents and upload, it will create a different version of that particular documents. And if you want to see a particular a document in history, then you can choose a different version. Okay, let's try to see that in action. So I can create. Okay, this is for content approval. So let's talk about that when we talk about workflows. So here in this version history, it says that to create a version each time you edit a file. So you say, okay, I want to create. So if you don't want any versioning, you select no versioning. If you want to create a major version, then you enable this. Or if you want to create a major or minor version, then you can select this one. So major version always have 1, 2, 3, and minor versions will have a decimal, so 1.2, 1.3. So if you say that if you want to make small changes in the library, then you can select major, minor. Otherwise, if it is has to be expecting a big change every time you edit that, you have to select major version. And then we have like something like draft item security. So I mean, if a document can be in draft state, once you publish, then it will be available. So here, who can see the draft items? So any user can see and read. So these are options which are there. You can select it. And if you require a checkout, so checkout basically is if the user has to save any changes, he has to check out the things. Okay, so if a document is checked out, no other person can make modification until the person who is making changes checks back in. Okay, so that's the difference. So let's see this one. Create a major version. So it's asking me to enter this here. So what it says is how many number of versions you want to maintain. So if I give 5 here, so it will only maintain 5 versions, latest versions. It will not. It will discard the previous versions if it exceeds beyond 5. Okay, these are the settings basically we will go in later point of time, but basically the next one is the columns. So as you can see, these are the default columns when you create any library or list. So these are the things which comes out of the box. So what does it do is basically if you add a document here right now, so it will populate these many things. So these columns will be populated. One thing is the created date, at what date time the document was created, when was the modified time. If you are uploading a document for the very first time, the created and modified date will be same. Okay, and then we have a title of the document, the description, what created by basically who created the document, and modified by basically who was the last person modifying it, and if the document is checked out, whom was checked out to. So if you want any other things besides this, you can always create a side column, or you can create a column here. So if I create a column here, let's see what all options are there. So that I have to give a column name. For example, I would want some columns here. For example, if say I want a sales date, and if you see here, these are the basically data types which are available for me to create my site column. Sorry, column. So sales date is the name. I can create it as a single line of text or multiple line of text. Single line of text basically, if you have less data, you can select single line of text. If you want to fill more data, then you have to select multiple line of text. So for example, if you have an address field will have a lot many much more information to fill. So we have to select multiple line of text, and we also have a choice. So for this particular column, we have sales date. So we'll select date and time. And so any description that you want to fill here. So let's say sales date. Next one is basically you want this as a required field. So basically you don't want any document to get published without this field getting filled. So we have to set that as required. And if you want that as a unique value, then you have to select it as yes. And if you want only date, then you have to select date only. And if you want date and time, then you can select date time. Display option is basically standard. It means it will show you date and time in this kind of a format. And if you want friendly, then it will say something like 2 days ago, 1 day ago, those kind of things. And from here you can set as a default value, and then let's say if you want to select as today's date as default, you can set that, or you want to hardcode any value, you can do that also. Okay, so I'll just select none for now. And if you want to add it as a default view, you can add that as a default view. Okay, I'll go ahead for now and click OK. So I have this sales date, and let's say I have to create another column called sales amount, and that will be of type currency. And I want that as required. You can mention here what should be the minimum and maximum value amount. This will be our validation here. You can select how many decimal places you want to allow. Okay, and then this is how the currency format you want to look like, and if you want a different currency, you can select from here and then say OK. Okay, so what I have done is I have created my custom columns here, and if you can see, these are the required columns here. Okay, let's go to my sales document, and let me try to upload a document. Let me say new document from here. So I'll just give some any content here. So training. Okay, and then let's say I have made the changes, and then I have to. So what happens here is it will be automatically saved for you after some part of time. So you go to file and then say save as. So you can say my sales doc. Okay, and then I can just tab out of it. So it will just rename my document as saved. Okay. I can close this one. So what it has done is it has uploaded document, but since these metadata was required, so I need to fill the documents. Fill the elements information there. So how we can do that is basically you can uh, go to properties. Click on details here. Properties should also have opened up. I don't know why it's not. So here basically you can add the properties. So sales date, for example, let's say I'll enter any date here. And then the sales amount, 65,000. So using this using this detail section, you can actually see some information like to whom this document has been shared with, and what are the properties here. Okay, and then we close this. And then since I have set the property as check-in to be mandatory, that's why it is showing a red icon here. So I can just check in. So it is asking me whether you want to still keep on working on it, or you want to publish it. So I can just say minor draft and I can give a comment and check in. But if I'm happy that okay, this is my major version for now, so I can give a comment here and then check in. Okay, so let's see the version history. So from this version history, you can see I have only one version because I just made one edit. And if I make another edit here, so click on this. So it is asking me to check out this document before editing because that is the mandatory thing that I have set there. So let me check out this one. So I'll just go to more and then say check out. Okay. I'll just say this and then second edit. So I can edit it on browser, or also I can edit it open in a desktop application and work on it. So whichever is convenient, we can do that. And close this, and I'll check in this one. And then if I go to version history, it is showing me two versions of it. Okay, so if I have to open this, see the content of this document, I can click here. Okay. Anyway, I think there's some issue here, but just try it in your tenant. It should be doable. So you just have to click on this, and you can do that. And if you realize we have another option is basically if you want that this version should be replaced with this any other version, you can just click on restore here. So what this will do is it will restore the latest version with this version and create a different version, basically a new version. Okay, I have to check out first. Yeah, as you can see in my first version, I had only one line, so it is showing me the this line, so it's working. Let's go ahead and then check in. If I discard checkout, then it will restore the previous version to this one. Let me check in first. Okay. Any questions here, or is it clear? Or let me know if you have anything.
So it's clear.
All right. Also, another option here is you can edit in the grid view. So if you want to make a an edit for some of the documents, you can do it. So I mean, here if I want to change it, to do it. Exactly. Okay, it will ask me because it is not checked out, so I have to check out and then make changes. But this is way if it would have been checked out, you could have done this and then saved it. But you need to check out first. Another piece of functionality is the views. So basically here, if you see, these are the different kind of views that are available for me in a library. So all documents will give me all the columns that is there, and then if I have to modify this, I can say edit current view. So for example, I don't want this modified and modified by, so I can edit the current view. And then I can just deselect the options which I don't want. And I can also change the order. So for example, I want sales amount to come before sales date. So I can just reverse that. I can give whatever I want here. So that will change the sequence. And other options which are there, basically if you want to sort any items, for example, you can select that option, which column you want to sort by. And if you want to take ascending, descending, you can select, and then multiple options you can select. So what happens, it will first sort based on this, and then it will sort based on this. Basically it's an AND operator. And for each view you can create a filter. So for example, here it is showing me all the items, but if I want to show any items based on the condition, so I can select this one. So for example, if I want to filter here, let's say the sales amount to be greater than, let's say, 5,000. So what it will do is it will show me only items where sale amount is greater than 5,000. And I can just select and on operator, and then I can add more columns, add more conditions here. And In the tabular view, if you want the selection at the very beginning, you have a checkbox, you can select that. If you don't want it, you can deselect it. If you want to group by any column, let's say, then you can do that. Group by basically is nothing but, so for example, if the sales department would have been there, and if you want to group by sales department, it will display me all the, it will group by based on that. And the total, basically, if you want to show a total at the, for any column. So for instance, the sales amount was, I can do a total here, right? So I can do these many kind of calculations on by column. So if I want to do a sum, I can do a sum here. And for the date column, it will have its own relevant functions. So these are the things. And then we have something like different styles. So just check out this. Basically, if you want to show in a different view, it will come in a different view. And the folders, if you want to show folders, or you don't want to show folders. So if you don't want to show folders, it will only show the items in each folder. Item limit, basically in a view, if you want to limit, if you want to show only 5 items or any other item, you can select this. And this will display as a batch, so it will display 5 items and then it will show previous next kind of thing. But if you just don't want those kind of pagination, you can select limit. So limit, what it will do, it will only show 5 items, it will not present you with the pagination option. And here, if you want to enable it as a mobile view, if you uncheck it, it will not be available. So these are the options which are there. Let me hit OK. So it is not showing me that particular item because I said sales amount is greater than 5,000. So that one item that I had was less than 5,000. So that's why it is not showing me this thing. But if I go again and remove that filter, it will bring you back. Filter, let me show all I can see. You see, we have added a sum here, so this is how it will render. So at the bottom of the line items, it will display a sum of the sales amount. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the next thing that we'll see is the lookup columns. So lookup columns, basically. Okay, let me, for that, let me create a list. It will be a blank list, and the name I will give is sales department. Okay, and I'll go create. So this is a list, and again, these will have the default columns that we have seen earlier. So let me add some departments. Let's say finance. What else? So what I've done is I've created a list with 3 options here, with 3 line items called finance, HR, sales. Now what I want to do is I want to create a column in my sales library which will add one more column, and it will display these options here. So what I can do is I can go to the sales library, and this time I can create a column. Let's say I'll call it department. And this time I'll select a lookup information. So lookup basically means information already on this site. So what I'm trying to do here is I make it required, and basically I want to populate that column from the values from another list. That's what we call lookup column, and it will tell you from where you want to get the information from. So I want to get it from sales department, and then it will ask me from that sales department which column I want to show. Okay, so here I'll select title field, because in the title field only I was adding the items here, and then I'll click on OK. So what it will do, it will create another column called department, and then I can missing required information, because I think this has been set as required. So in order to do that, I'll have to check out this. And then go to details. Select department. So these are the things that we have added there, right? So here we will say, let's say finance, and then I'll save it. Once you tab out of it, it will automatically save. And then I'll check in. So this was the lookup column. Any questions here, the lookup column, or is it clear? The only benefit that we'll get lookup column is I can dynamically add more items here, and then it will repopulate there. So if I go to details, then I can, if I want to change it to that instead of finance to admin, I can do it here. So this is the advantage of lookup column. It will pre-populate. You don't have to do anything extra. It will whatever you add in that particular list, it will come here in the source list. So any questions so far that we have discussed today?
Sir,
Yeah.
if I want to edit anything, first I have to check out, then I want to edit, right?
Yeah, that again depends upon the setting. So if I say for this library I don't want checkout mandatory, then you need not do it.
Okay.